The stars outside the observation window looked like tiny pinpricks of cold light. Dr. Jae-sung pressed his hand against the glass of the transport ship, his breathing creating a small fog on the surface. Another routine assignment. Another boring research mission. The Galactic Confederation had sent him to Earth's research outpost on Europa, one of Jupiter's icy moons. He knew very little about humans, and what he did know wasn't impressive. They were a young species, barely past their own solar system. Most galactic researchers considered humans to be primitive, loud, and somewhat chaotic. Jae-sung adjusted the medical scanner hanging from his shoulder. It was an advanced piece of equipment, capable of scanning almost any known biological system in the galaxy. He had used it on hundreds of different species, each scan revealing predictable patterns of cellular structure and healing capabilities. Humans would be no different, he thought. The transport ship hummed softly as it approached Europa. Through the window, Jae-sung could see the gleaming research station, a massive structure of white and silver, built directly into the moon's icy surface. Cables and communication arrays spread out like metallic spider webs, connecting different sections of the complex. As the ship docked, Jae-sung reviewed the mission brief one more time. Standard xenobiological research. Standard medical exchange program. Nothing special. The airlock hissed open, and a human medical administrator named Rebecca greeted him. She was tall, with short brown hair and a professional smile. "Dr. Jae-sung," she said, extending her hand in a human greeting gesture. "Welcome to Europa Medical Research Station." Jae-sung shook her hand, noting the firm grip. Humans always seemed to put unnecessary emphasis on physical contact. "Thank you," he replied neutrally. "I'm here to conduct comparative medical research between human physiology and other galactic species." Rebecca nodded and led him through a series of clean white corridors. Everything looked sterile and organized, which surprised Jae-sung. He had expected something more chaotic, given human reputation. "We've prepared a complete research suite for you," Rebecca explained. "You'll have access to our most recent medical records, genetic databases, and live patient monitoring systems." The Confederation requested a comprehensive study of human regenerative capabilities. Jae-sung listened carefully. Regenerative capabilities were always interesting, but he didn't expect much. Most species had basic healing mechanisms. Humans would be no different. The research suite was impressive. Multiple holographic displays lined the walls, showing real-time medical data from various human patients. Advanced scanning equipment stood ready. Jae-sung ran his hand over a medical bed, impressed by its sophisticated design. "We have several interesting cases for you to review," Rebecca said, activating one of the holographic displays. "Patient records that might challenge some of our current understanding of human healing." Jae-sung raised an eyebrow. Challenge their understanding? Unlikely, but professionally curious, he stepped closer to the display. Little did he know, this moment would change everything he understood about human biology. The first patient file flickered to life. A human male, approximately 35 years old. Complex fracture of the femur. Typical injury that would take months to heal in most species, but something about the medical progression caught Jae-sung's attention. The healing rate was unusual. Very unusual. Rebecca watched him carefully, a slight smile playing on her lips. She knew something he didn't, and in that moment, Dr. Jae-sung felt the first tiny crack in his professional certainty. Humans were about to surprise him. Completely and utterly surprise him. The research had only just begun. Dr. Jae-sung leaned closer to the holographic display. The medical file belonged to a patient named David Kim. Something about this case was strange. Most species in the galaxy healed slowly. A complex bone fracture typically required months of careful treatment. Patients needed months of rest, multiple surgeries, and weeks of rehabilitation. But David Kim's file told a different story. 3 weeks earlier, David had been brought into the emergency room with a severe femur fracture. The initial scans showed a break so complex that most medical professionals would have predicted months of recovery. maybe even permanent disability. But the current scans showed something impossible. Can you explain this? Jae-sung asked Rebecca, his voice tight with confusion. Rebecca smiled. Which part? Jae-sung pointed at the holographic image. The bone. It's completely healed, fully reconstructed. How is this possible? The holographic display showed a three-dimensional model of David Kim's leg. Where there had once been a complex fracture, now there was solid, healthy bone. No signs of surgical intervention. No metal supports. No external healing devices. Just perfect bone. Humans have remarkable healing capabilities, Rebecca explained. David was walking without support just 2 weeks after the injury. He's already back to his normal physical activities. Jae-sung's professional training battled with his growing sense of disbelief. He zoomed in on the holographic image, examining every microscopic detail. The bone structure was perfect. Better than perfect. It looked stronger at the fracture point than in the surrounding areas. This doesn't make sense, he muttered. Rebecca pulled up additional patient files. Each one told a similar story. Severe injuries, impossibly fast healing. Patients returning to full functionality in weeks instead of months or years. A human doctor named Dr. Park entered the research suite. She carried a tablet with more medical data. Dr. Jae-sung, she said, I heard you're reviewing our regenerative case studies. Jae-sung turned to her. These healing rates are not normal. Not for any species I've studied. Dr. Park nodded. We're still understanding the full extent of human regenerative capabilities. Our genetic structure allows for rapid cellular reconstruction. But we're still learning. Jae-sung's mind raced. He had studied hundreds of species, cataloged thousands of medical records, but nothing prepared him for this level of biological efficiency. I'd want to meet the patient, he said suddenly. An hour later, David Kim sat in a medical examination room. He looked completely normal. No signs of a recent major injury. Jae-sung ran multiple scans, each one more detailed than the last. How do you feel? Jae-sung asked. David shrugged. Fine. Totally normal. Doctor said I heal fast. Runs in my family. I guess. Runs in the family. Those simple words sent a chill down Jae-sung's spine. This wasn't just a one-time medical miracle. This was a species-wide capability. Jae-sung's hands shook slightly as he reviewed the scan data. The bone wasn't just healed. It was enhanced. Stronger. More dense. The cellular structure showed signs of rapid adaptation that defied everything he knew about biological healing. Interesting, right? David said, noticing Jae-sung's intense concentration. Very interesting, Jae-sung replied. But his voice was distant. His mind was already racing with questions. What else could humans do? What other biological secrets were hidden in their genetic code? The research had just become much more complicated, much more exciting. And Dr. Jae-sung was going to find out everything. Dr. Jae-sung became obsessed. For the next week, he collected every medical record he could find. Patient files, research documents, old medical reports, anything that might explain the impossible healing he had witnessed. His research suite looked like a storm had hit it. Digital screens covered every wall. Holographic charts floated in the air. Stacks of medical tablets were scattered across tables. Rebecca and Dr. Park watched him with a mix of amusement and curiosity. I need more data, Jae-sung told them, his eyes never leaving the screens. He found patterns that made no sense. A soldier who recovered from multiple severe wounds in weeks. A construction worker who broke 3 ribs and was back at work in less than a month. A cancer patient whose body seemed to fight off aggressive tumors faster than any known medical treatment. But it wasn't just speed, it was the quality of healing. Most species in the galaxy had basic healing abilities. Some could regrow small parts like lizards regenerating tails. Some had advanced medical technology. But humans, they were different. Their bodies didn't just heal, they improved. Jae-sung discovered medical records showing that healed bones became denser, repaired muscles grew stronger, Damaged organs reconstructed themselves with enhanced functionality. "This is impossible," he muttered to himself. But the data was right in front of him. Dr. Park brought him more coffee. By now, she was used to his constant research. "Finding anything interesting?" she asked. Jae-sung looked up, his eyes wild with excitement. "Everything is interesting. Humans are not just healing. They are evolving with each injury." He pulled up a comparison chart. Side-by-side images of human patients before and after severe injuries. The differences were subtle but clear. Muscles more defined. Bone structures more compact. Cellular structures more efficient. "How is this happening?" he asked. Dr. Park smiled. "We're still learning. Our genetic structure is complex. We adapt quickly." Jae-sung's communication device blinked. A message from the Galactic Confederation. They wanted his initial report on human medical capabilities. He laughed. How could he compress this miracle into a simple report? He started writing, then deleted everything. Started again, deleted again. How do you explain something that breaks all known medical understanding? More records arrived, more patient files, each one adding to the growing mystery. Jae-sung discovered something else. This healing ability wasn't random. It seemed to be genetic, passed down through families. Some humans healed faster than others, but the basic capability was widespread. He interviewed patients, collected genetic samples, ran countless tests. David Kim returned for a follow-up scan. Jae-sung examined him carefully. The leg that had been severely fractured looked perfect. Better than perfect. "Does it hurt?" Jae-sung asked. David flexed his leg. "Not at all. Actually, I feel stronger now." Stronger. That word kept appearing in Jae-sung's research. Humans didn't just heal. They improved. They adapted. They became better with each challenge. Dr. Park watched him work. "You look like you've discovered something big," she said. Jae-sung nodded slowly. "Bigger than big," he replied. "This changes everything we know about biological healing." The Galactic Confederation thought humans were a young, primitive species. They were wrong. So very wrong. Humans were not just survivors. They were biological miracles. And Dr. Jae-sung was going to prove it. Dr. Elena Park looked at Jae-sung with a serious expression. "If you want proof," she said, "we'll need to do controlled experiments." The research team gathered in a special medical lab. White walls, bright lights, advanced medical equipment everywhere. Jae-sung felt both excited and nervous. This was not going to be a normal research day. "We'll need volunteers," Elena explained. "Humans who understand the risks and are willing to help science." Within hours, 6 volunteers signed up. Young, healthy individuals who wanted to contribute to medical research. They listened carefully as Elena and Jae-sung explained the experiment. "We will create controlled bone fractures," Jae-sung announced. "Then we will document the exact healing process." The volunteers looked calm. Too calm, Jae-sung thought. In any other species, this would cause panic. Humans seemed almost excited about the challenge. The first volunteer was a man named Michael. He was 28 years old, athletic, healthy. Medical scans showed he came from a family with exceptional healing capabilities. The procedure was carefully planned. Using precise medical tools, they would create a small controlled fracture in Michael's lower arm. Not dangerous, but precise enough to study healing. Jae-sung's hands shook slightly as he prepared the medical scanner. Hundreds of sensors would track every single cellular movement, every microscopic change. "Are you ready?" Elena asked Michael. Michael nodded. "Let's do this." The fracture was quick, a small, precise break in the radius bone. Immediately, medical sensors began recording. Jae-sung watched the holographic displays, his breath caught in his throat. Most species would show immediate inflammation, swelling, pain. Michael showed almost none of these typical responses. Hours passed, then days. The healing was nothing short of miraculous. By day 3, the fracture was already showing significant healing. Cellular regeneration happened faster than any medical model Jae-sung had ever seen. The bone wasn't just healing, it was restructuring itself. "Impossible," he muttered. Elena smiled. "Welcome to human biology." They repeated the experiment with other volunteers. Each time, the results were similar. Fast healing, minimal pain, enhanced bone structure after recovery. Jae-sung collected mountains of data, genetic samples, cellular scans, blood work. Everything went into his research database. The 5th volunteer, a woman named Sarah, showed something even more interesting. Her fractured bone not only healed quickly but became denser than it was before the injury. The cellular structure showed signs of active improvement. "Your body is making itself stronger," Jae-sung told her during a scan. "Do you understand what's happening?" Sarah shrugged. "Just how humans work, I guess." But it wasn't just how humans work. This was a biological marvel. By the end of 2 weeks, all volunteers had fully recovered. No surgical interventions, no long recovery periods. Just pure, efficient healing. Jae-sung's research notes filled hundreds of digital files. Charts, graphs, detailed medical observations. Each page screamed the same message. Humans were not a normal species. Elena reviewed the final data with him. "What will you tell the Galactic Confederation?" she asked. Jae-sung took a deep breath. "The truth," he said. "Humans are not what we thought they were. The experiments proved something revolutionary. Humans didn't just heal. They adapted. They improved. With each challenge, their bodies became stronger. A biological miracle was happening right in front of his eyes. And Dr. Jae-sung was going to tell the entire galaxy about it." The research went deeper. Dr. Jae-sung discovered that human healing was not just about bones. It was about everything. Immune systems, cellular repair, genetic adaptability. Each layer revealed more mysteries. He found old medical records that told incredible stories. Humans had fought diseases that would have destroyed other species. They had survived environments that should have killed them. They adapted, always adapted. Cancer was a perfect example. In most galactic species, cancer was a death sentence, a breakdown of cellular control that spread quickly. Unstoppable, deadly. But humans, they had developed ways to fight back. Jae-sung studied medical records of human cancer treatments. Some patients recovered completely. Others fought the disease for years. But what shocked him most was how human bodies responded to the challenge. Their immune systems didn't just fight cancer. They learned from it. One record showed a patient named David Chen, diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer, treated with experimental methods. Not just medicines, but methods that help the body fight itself. "The human body is a weapon," Jae-sung told Elena. "A self-improving machine." Elena nodded. "We're still learning about ourselves." The genetic research was mind-blowing. Human DNA was like a complex puzzle that could rearrange itself. When faced with challenges, human genes would shift, adapt, create new defense mechanisms. Jae-sung compared human genetic structures with other species. The difference was clear. Most species had static genetic codes. Humans had a living, breathing genetic system that changed. Environmental adaptability was another shock. Humans had lived everywhere. Extreme cold, burning deserts, high mountains, deep oceans. They created tools, changed environments, survived where other species would have given up. Medical records showed humans overcoming genetic diseases, developing treatments that fixed problems at the cellular level, creating medicines that worked with the body's natural systems. "We don't just survive," Elena explained. "We improve." Jae-sung found records of human space exploration. Humans had developed ways to protect their bodies from radiation, created special suits, developed medical treatments that prevented cellular damage. Other species would have considered such environments impossible. Humans saw them as challenges. Their immune systems were another marvel. Most species had simple defense mechanisms. Humans had complex, adaptive systems that could learn and remember. A virus that attacked once would be remembered. The next time, the human body would be ready. Faster, more efficient. Jae-sung's research room looked like a museum of human medical miracles. Screens showed genetic maps, medical records, historical health data. Each piece told a story of survival and improvement. "The Galactic Confederation has no idea," he mumbled. "They thought humans were a young species, primitive, unimportant. They were wrong. Humans were not just survivors. They were biological champions, a species that turned every challenge into an opportunity for improvement. Their bodies were living, breathing machines of adaptation, and Dr. Jae-sung was going to prove it to the entire galaxy." The more he researched, the more he realized one simple truth. Humans were not just another species. They were something special, something extraordinary. The walls of Jae-sung's research room began to close in on him. He hadn't slept in days. Coffee cups were everywhere. Digital screens flashed with endless medical data. Charts, graphs, patient records. Each piece of information added to a growing mountain of evidence that was destroying everything he knew about biology. Humans were not normal. They were not just another species in the galaxy. They were something else entirely. Jae-sung's professional world began to crumble. Everything he had learned in medical school, every research paper he had published, every understanding of biological limits, all of it meant nothing now. He started talking to himself, muttering, pacing. "How is this possible?" he said to empty room. "How can one species be so different?" Alina found him like this, surrounded by holographic displays, eyes wild with discovery and confusion. "Are you okay?" she asked. Jae-sung laughed. It was not a happy laugh. It was a laugh of someone whose entire understanding of the universe was falling apart. "Okay," he repeated. "Nothing is okay anymore." He pulled up a massive display, comparison charts of human medical capabilities, side by side with other galactic species. The differences were shocking. Most species had simple healing. Humans had adaptive regeneration. Most species struggled with genetic diseases. Humans created solutions. Most species were limited by their environment. Humans changed environments. "The Galactic Confederation thinks humans are young," Jae-sung said. "They are wrong. Humans are not young. They are the most advanced biological system I have ever seen." Alina watched him carefully. She had seen researchers break before. The moment when scientific understanding meets something completely unexpected. Jae-sung was breaking, but he was also discovering something amazing. He showed her a genetic map, complex, intricate, unlike anything in galactic medical records. "Look," he said, "human DNA is not just a code. It's a living system. It learns, it adapts, it improves." His hand shook as he moved through the data. Each swipe revealed more impossible information. Humans could adapt to radiation, survive extreme temperatures, fight diseases that would kill other species. Their cellular structure was like a complex machine that could rebuild and improve itself. "This changes everything," he whispered. The psychological impact hit him hard. Everything he thought he knew about biology was wrong, completely wrong. Humans were not a primitive species. They were biological miracles. Alina brought him water, watched him carefully. "Take a break," she suggested. Jae-sung couldn't stop. He kept searching, kept analyzing. Each new piece of data was another blow to his old understanding. Genetic adaptability, rapid healing, complex immune responses, environmental resilience. Humans were not just survivors. They were evolutionary champions. And Dr. Jae-sung was going to tell the entire galaxy, even if it destroyed everything he once believed. The truth was more important than his old understanding. Humans were special. Humans were extraordinary. And the galaxy was about to find out. The report was massive. Dr. Jae-sung spent weeks preparing his findings for the Galactic Confederation. Hundreds of pages, thousands of medical scans, genetic data, patient records, everything that proved how special humans were. He worked day and night. Coffee became his only friend. Elena helped him organize the massive amount of information. Each page was a piece of a complex puzzle that would change everything. The report had a simple title: Humanity, a Biological Miracle. First, he explained human healing capabilities, how their bodies could recover from injuries faster than any known species, how broken bones became stronger, how cellular repair worked like a perfect machine. Then he dove into genetic adaptability. Humans could change. They could improve. Their DNA was not just a fixed code. It was a living, breathing system that learned and grew. He included case studies, patient records, scientific experiments, everything that proved humans were different. A patient who survived multiple cancers, a soldier who recovered from severe injuries in weeks, a person who adapted to extreme environments. Each story was a testament to human potential. The genetic research was mind-blowing. Most species had static genetic codes. Humans had a system that could update itself, like a living computer that could rewrite its own programming. Jae-sung knew this report would cause problems. The Galactic Confederation liked things simple, organized, predictable. Humans were none of those things. They won't believe this, Elena told him. Jae-sung smiled. They will have to believe it. He included detailed comparisons, humans versus other galactic species. The differences were clear and shocking. Most species could heal small wounds. Humans could rebuild entire body systems. Most species struggled with genetic diseases. Humans created solutions. Most species were limited by their environment. Humans changed environments. The report was not just medical research. It was a declaration. Humans were not a young, primitive species. They were biological champions. They were the most advanced life form in the galaxy. Jae-sung remembered his first days on Europa. How he thought humans were nothing special. How wrong he had been. Elena helped him prepare the final draft, checking every detail, making sure every piece of evidence was solid. The Confederation will go crazy, she said. Jae-sung didn't care. Truth was more important than comfort. He added a final section, a prediction. If humans continued developing at this rate, they would become the most advanced species in the galaxy. Not through technology, not through weapons, but through pure biological potential. The ability to adapt, the ability to improve, the ability to survive. When the report was complete, it was more than just a scientific document. It was a warning. It was a celebration. It was a discovery that would change everything. Jae-sung looked at the finished report, hundreds of pages of pure scientific evidence. Humans were special, and now the entire galaxy would know. The Galactic Confederation's Research Council was not happy. Jae-sung sat in a massive circular room. Hundreds of alien researchers stared at him. Some looked angry. Some looked confused. Most looked like they didn't believe a word he had said. "These findings are impossible," said a blue-skinned researcher from the Orion cluster. "Impossible," Jae-sung repeated. "I have proof. Hundreds of medical records, genetic data, scientific experiments." The room buzzed with tension. Jae-sung's report had arrived like a bomb. It challenged everything the Confederation knew about biological science. A senior researcher named Dr. Krell stood up. His tentacles moved slowly as he spoke. "Dr. Jae-sung, you are suggesting that humans are the most advanced biological species in the galaxy." "Not suggesting," Jae-sung said firmly. "Proving." He activated holographic displays. Patient records floated in the air. Genetic maps showed complex human DNA structures. Medical scans revealed impossible healing processes. Some researchers leaned forward, interested, shocked. Others crossed their arms, refusing to believe. "Humans have capabilities we've never seen," Jae-sung explained. They don't just survive. They improve. Their bodies learn, adapt, grow stronger with each challenge. Dr. Krell looked worried. If what you say is true, humans are not just another species. They are a biological threat. Jae-sung shook his head. Not a threat. An opportunity. Imagine what we could learn from them. The room became silent. Weeks passed. The report spread through scientific circles. Some researchers attacked Jae-sung's findings. Others wanted to study humans more closely. Alina supported him through everything. You've changed how we see biological science, she told him. But Jae-sung knew the battle was just beginning. The Confederation wanted more proof, more experiments, more evidence. They didn't understand. Humans were not a problem to be solved. They were a miracle to be studied. Jae-sung became famous, or infamous, depending on who you asked. Some called him a genius. Others called him crazy. But nobody could ignore his research. More human medical teams were invited to research stations. Scientists from different species wanted to understand human biology. What made them so special? How did they heal so quickly? How could their bodies adapt so easily? Jae-sung continued his research. Each day brought new discoveries. Humans could survive in space with minimal protection. Humans could heal from injuries that would kill other species. Humans could adapt to new environments faster than anyone thought possible. The Galactic Confederation slowly began to change its view. Humans were not a young, primitive species. They were biological champions. They were the future of galactic evolution. And Dr. Jae-sung had proven it. One medical record at a time. One genetic scan at a time. One impossible discovery at a time. The galaxy would never be the same. 5 years passed. Dr. Jae-sung's research changed everything. The Interspecies Medical Research Program became the most important scientific project in the galaxy. Humans were no longer seen as a young, simple species. They were biological miracles. Researchers from hundreds of different worlds came to study them, to learn from them, to understand their incredible abilities. Jae-sung's original research station on Europa had grown. What was once a small medical center was now a massive complex. Hundreds of researchers worked there, studying human biology, documenting their incredible capabilities. Alina Park became the lead director of the research program. She remembered the early days, how Jae-sung had first discovered human potential, how he had fought to prove what humans could do. We're still learning, she would tell new researchers. Humans continue to surprise us. The medical breakthroughs were incredible. Humans had taught other species how to improve genetic treatments, how to create more adaptive medical solutions, how to help bodies heal faster and stronger. Jae-sung watched it all happen. His crazy theory had become scientific fact. Humans could heal faster than any known species, adapt to extreme environments, fight diseases that killed other species, improve their own genetic structure. The Galactic Confederation now saw humans differently. No longer a young species to be ignored, but a key to understanding biological evolution. Medical centers across the galaxy used human research. Human genetic models became the standard for medical treatment. Jae-sung sometimes thought back to his first days on Europa. How confused he had been. How shocked he was by human capabilities. Now, it all seems so clear. Humans were not just survivors. They were biological champions. They were the future of life itself. On his final day of official research, Jae-sung gave a speech to young researchers. Humans taught us something important, he said. Life is not about staying the same. Life is about changing, improving, growing. Elena stood beside him, proud of what they had discovered. The research program continued, each day bringing new discoveries, new understanding of human potential. Jae-sung had started as a skeptical researcher, someone who thought humans were nothing special. He ended as their biggest supporter, their greatest advocate. The day he arrived on Europa, he thought humans were ordinary. The day he retired, he knew they were extraordinary. Life had a way of surprising people, of changing everything you thought you knew. Humans were proof of that. A species that didn't just survive. A species that improved. A species that showed the entire galaxy what was possible. Dr. Jae-sung smiled. The greatest discovery was not about humans. It was about potential. About what life could become. And humans had shown the way.